Raila Odinga yesterday received key political players who had defected from the ODM party during the last general election back again into the party. What is Raila's game plan? In my view, Raila Odinga is laying the ground for his 2022 presidential elections. I'm saying this because so far, apart from the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, no any other candidate has declared their interest. I've never heard Kalonzo Musyoka declaring that he was going to run for the presidency in 2022. I've never heard, for example, Musalia Mudavadi declaring his candidate, declaring that he's going to run again in 2022. What about Doktari? Doktari was even in Kiambu yesterday. I never heard him talk about 2022 presidential elections. Probably these guys are still waiting for a coalition to be formed. But the moves by Raila Odinga of late, especially to revamp the ODM party, points to a person who is laying the ground for 2022 elections. And we are going to look at why probably is so busy revamping ODM party and receiving the defectors. Now let us go back to yesterday. At Chungwa House, Raila Odinga received very many politicians back to the ODM party. And that was not the first time. We all remember that in Kilifi County, Gideon Mungaro was a key player within the ODM party, but defected to Jubilee Party, and is now a member of CAS in President Uhuru Kenyatta's government. But Gideon Mungaro is nursing gubernatorial ambitions. In fact, he contested in the last election. But because Kilifi is ODM zone, Gideon Mungaro is already coming back to the party. And I'm told he had been received privately. Talk of several other people from the coast. But yesterday, for the first time, the ODM party conducted an open event where they received key political players. I'm saying key because some of these people were very popular on the ground, and they really affected ODM party in Nyanza and in other places. Let me just go through some of the people who were received yesterday. Oyugi Magwanga, the former member of parliament for Kabondo Kasipul. This guy contested for the Homa Bay gubernatorial seat. During the ODM nomination, this guy won free and fair. But Cyprian Awiti rigged himself in. And Oyugi Magwanga decided to contest on the independent party as an independent candidate. And even that general election, there are people who believe that probably because some of his supporters were intimidated, but there are people who believe Oyugi Magwanga won that election. And because the contest in Homa Bay, for example, was so much bitterly contested, so many of Oyugi Magwanga supporters never turned up to vote for Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga would not want a situation like that. The other person he received was Jakoyo Midiwo. Jakoyo Midiwo is Raila Odinga's cousin. But in the last election, because he had issues with the Uhuru Odinga, now those are family matters, because of the gubernatorial election. Remember, Jakoyo was just defending his seat in game. But he had a team of Engineer Gombo against Rasanga. Again, in that place, those guys were very popular. So ODM prevailed just because of its strength. But most of their supporters, again, failed to turn up to vote. And because most of these governors have failed, the ODM party is very unpopular in those grounds. You go to Homa Bay today, ODM party is not popular as it used to be. Because people feel Awiti has failed. But they had hopes in Oyugi Magwanga. So the mere fact that Oyugi Magwanga has been brought, the mere fact that Jakoyo Midiwo and Gombo were received, means those people are now coming back to the ODM party. Elizabeth Ongoro, her case was very sad for me. Because this is a woman who was contesting for the parliamentary seat in Ruaraka. She was popular, but the ODM party declined to clear her to run for the parliamentary seat at last minute. And she defected and contested on ANC. And again, she still performed so well. But her supporters were still bitter, some up to now, because I still met some of them. So when Raila Odinga convened this meeting with these people, in my view, I knew so well that he's laying the ground for 2022 presidential elections. And if you still have doubts that Raila Odinga is going to contest, then you should look for another country. It means you are behind news. But why would Raila Odinga revamp the ODM party? Why would he invite some of these people who are defected back to the party? In my view, Raila Odinga is doing this because of the following. Number one is the ODM nominations. Any ODM supporter in this country will agree that ODM nominations are always manipulated. And this has resulted into the laws we are seeing across the country. If you take, for example, Kakamega County, the people who won the nominations were never given the certificates. So what was the end result? It meant those people ended up contesting either on ANC or any other political party and splitting the ODM votes. The same applied in Nairobi. Most of the candidates who won on ODM ticket ended up either running on Wiper or ANC party. Because we were the ODM party, because Raila Odinga was running under NASA. And those parties were considered to be friendly. And that explains why Raila Odinga and ODM party has very few members of parliament at the National Assembly and at the county assemblies in general in this country. So I think Raila Odinga has realized that mistake and is trying to fix the nominations mess. Because remember, immediately after the election, Raila Odinga formed a task force chaired by Catherine Muma. And the role of that task force was simple: to go back and look into the ODM nominations and the processes generally. And the team realized that there are cartels at Orange House who are always messing the process. And they proposed several changes, amongst them trying to reach out to these people to come back to the party. So I think Raila Odinga is keen on fixing that nomination mess. Because again, assuming someone like Oyugi Magwanga joins the ODM party, then he contests again, then assuming he wins again, but he's denied the ticket, what will happen? People will revolt against the party. Because in the last election, for example, in Homa Bay, it was almost half-half. So if half of party supporters are voting against the party candidate, it definitely means that the party did not make the right choice. In Sia, for example, Gumbo and Rasanga were almost 50-50. So it meant the ODM support base split the votes. But if you go to a place like Kilifi, where Governor Kingi decided to ensure that the elections in that region was conducted according to the will and the wish of the people, what was the end result? In Kilifi, everything from MCA, senator, governor, women rep, everything, ODM won. You can't say that in Nyanza. In Nyanza, for example, Kisumu East here, Shabir won on independent ticket. So, Shabir in Kisumu, Olaga Alwach Fort Kenya. So in Kisumu alone, we have 2 members of parliament who are not ODM members. Out of the, are they 8 or 7 constituencies? Which means if ODM had conducted free and fair elections, then popular candidates would have won. And you see, as much as Shabir and Olago are supporting Raila Odinga, the challenge is their numbers don't count when you are counting the members of ODM parliament. Members of ODM, when you are counting the members of parliament elected on ODM ticket. So that's number one. Number two, I think Raila Odinga, based on the report which I've read, also feels that the party support base is not very happy, especially with the reward system. So I think he wants to bring these people, and for the first time, he will try to reward members of the party. It's normally very sad that you see certain members of the party. I've seen several youths, women around this party working very hard for the party. I like using Malindi because Malindi is the first home of ODM and I've campaigned there. When Aisha Jumwa defected from ODM to William Ruto party, there's a team which started checkmating her. And when there was a by-election in Ganda Ward, that team delivered the seat to the ODM party. It delivered that seat. And you could see the faces, those people, their faces are very familiar. Some of them have never been nominated, but they still stick with the party. You go to Kwale the same. You go to Migori, you go to all these other places. And because of that, a lot of ODM supporters are now not very keen on ODM activities. Because when it comes to reward, who was nominated to the Senate in ODM party? Judy Pareno, which is fine. Who else? Chibeni. Represented who? The youths. Why? Because of Olga Karang. You go to Nakuru, where ODM party supporters campaigned so hard and won some seats and were entitled to nomination slots. The names of the people nominated are not even known to the party supporters in those grounds. So I think Raila Odinga is now trying to fix those mistakes so that when he goes to the polls, because some of these things are done in advance, then the party supporters can now feel happy to go out there and campaign for him. The other mistake, which I think is correcting, that's why he's doing this, is the fact that the grassroots ODM party has grassroots support. In fact, apart from KANU and ODM party, there's no any other political party in Kenya. I'm saying this with authority because I know Jubilee can't qualify to be a political party. They can't even conduct elections. As we speak, Jubilee is almost in the middle. It was a special purpose vehicle for 2017 elections. But ODM party has grassroots support. If you go to polling station, because its grassroots base starts at the polling station. If you go to polling station, we should have around 600 people or slightly more. In any polling station, ODM party has a structure. That structure has officials divided in three. They have the mainstream, they have the youths, and then they have the women. So each of these elects officials, there are around 20 always, but mainstream elect 18. Then the chairperson of the women league automatically goes to the mainstream, and the youth league also goes to the mainstream. So basically there's always 58 people supporting ODM party as officials from the polling stations, then moving to the ward level, then moving to the constituency, moving to the county, up to the national office. But in most cases, during elections, these people are always ignored. The secretariat will always form, the presidential secretariat will always be formed. And the secretariat will always create its own structure away from the ODM structure. That's why there's a problem. In the last election, for example, Raila Odinga had Raila Odinga secretariat, which was based in Lavington, had its own structure of campaigning. Well, we also had ODM as a political party, which Raila Odinga is the candidate. Just there, the officials from the grounds are not engaged. So you are a party official on the ground, then the presidential campaign appoints someone else to coordinate those activities. It doesn't make sense. And that's why I think Raila Odinga, because of those three reasons, I think Raila Odinga is not focusing on revamping the ODM party. Because if he revamps the ODM party, then he won't even need a separate presidential campaign structure. So he'll use ODM party. And because Raila Odinga was in NASA and NASA has collapsed, his only hope is to go back to the ODM party. That's how politics is played. So he will be nominated by ODM as a presidential candidate and contest. And because he's revamping it, because remember, in March, ODM was supposed to have grassroots elections. I mean, not grassroots really, but party elections. Just like Jubilee is supposed to have party elections. But Raila suspended that because of the referendum. But I'm now understanding why it was suspended. It was suspended to allow some of these people to come back into the party. I don't know what you think. But in my view, Raila Odinga is laying the ground for his 2022 presidential bid. Thank you guys. And if you're bumping on this video for the first time, what we do on this channel is that we analyze politics. And the best thing you can do is to hit the subscribe button. Just take a second or two and hit the subscribe button there, so that next time we produce a video like this, you are notified. And to the subscribers, I want to continue. Thank you guys for your continued support. I don't know how to express this, but I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. And by the way, Peter, I want to thank you, Sana. Jana, I told you guys I was going to take lunch at public service in Kisumu. A nice place. And I was offered free lunch. Napenda kama vitu za bure. Peter offered me free lunch. It was nice. If you want to enjoy kuku or fish while in Kisumu, go to public service. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day.